We need to act before it's too late. That's the message from the first discussion on artificial intelligence at the United Nations Security Council. Worries are growing about the potential dangers the technology poses to the global economy and international security. The fear of creating an indomitable monster is growing around the world as AI development is advancing more and more rapidly and set to accelerate. It's hard to predict now what will be possible using AI in the future, so much so that even its creators are demanding more regulation. Now the UN Secretary General is suggesting a global oversight body to ensure peace and security even when the powerful technology ends up in the wrong hands. I'm Nicole Furley in Berlin, and this is The Day.
AI will fundamentally alter every aspect of human life.
It has been compared to the introduction of the printing press.
While this technology advances at mind-blowing pace, we are caught between fascination and fear.
We do not fully know what it is that we do not know about AI.
It is as though we are building engines without understanding the science of combustion.
We haven't found a way to protect ourselves from AI's utilization on human weaknesses.
The capacity to tell the difference between what is real and what is made up is diminishing by the day.
Never again will technological innovation move as slow as it is moving today.
Welcome to the show. It's good to have you with us. There is no time to lose. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was very clear about that, and experts agree the development of AI technology will never again be as slow as it is today. If we want to rein it in, we need to get a move on. If we fail to act now, the consequences could be, well, the problem is that we don't really know. That is why Guterres is pushing for the creation of an international AI watchdog along the lines of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Artificial intelligence has the potential to do great good. It also has the potential to do great harm. The advent of autonomous battlefield weapons, AI with a mission to hunt and kill, is no longer in the realm of science fiction. But we're not there yet. There is time for AI non-proliferation. But already today, malign actors are exploiting the technology to advance their agenda.
But AI tools can also be used by those with malicious intent. AI models can help people to harm themselves and each other at massive scale. Let's be clear. The malicious use of AI systems for terrorist, criminal, or state purposes could cause horrific levels of death and destruction, widespread trauma, and deep psychological damage on an unimaginable scale. AI-enabled cyber attacks are already targeting critical infrastructure and our own peacekeeping and humanitarian operations, causing great human suffering.
Russia isn't just using AI in propaganda, it's also looking deeply into the use of AI in the military. Let's bring in Sam Bennett with the Center for Naval Analyses. He's a member of the Russian Studies program there. Mr. Bennett, welcome to The Day. Now, the war in Ukraine has become a massive artillery battle, but what role has AI played in Russia's war efforts so far?
Prior to the invasion, Russian military has looked at artificial intelligence as a data analysis and a decision-making tool, and the same is true for the Ukrainian side as well. Basically, artificial intelligence is a tool that helps the operators to sift through very large quantities of data to identify something very specific, like a very specific target or a description of the target. Right now, in the war in Ukraine, it's not exactly clear how Russian military is using AI. It's not very public about its developments and applications. Unlike the Ukrainian side, which has publicly spoken about the need and the usefulness of artificial intelligence. But the Russian military does have a very significant and very specific focus on artificial intelligence. It is a tool that is supposed to make certain operations and certain technologies faster, more effective, and ultimately it is a tool that is supposed to enable Russian military and the Russian military operations to not just be effective, but also operate outside of dangerous environments by replacing soldiers with essentially unmanned and uncrewed and autonomous systems.
Yeah, you say that Ukraine is a lot more open about its use and its needs for AI. Can you tell us how state actors and non-state actors have been supporting Ukraine with artificial intelligence in order to overcome the numerical disadvantage they have on the battlefield?
There's a lot of public data about Western companies and allied companies helping Ukraine, for example, sift through lots of satellite imagery data, sift through a lot of data and video imagery generated from thousands of drones that are flying on the front. There's a lot of evidence of Western companies also being on the record with artificial intelligence basically helping with targeting of and essentially going through a lot of data and information to select very specific targets. There's also evidence of Western companies helping Ukraine sift through Russian communications, as well as identify visually through facial recognition and other technologies some of the Russian soldiers, units, and unit movements.
Mm-hmm. So would you say this is an AI war?
Well, this is certainly a conflict between peer adversaries, where artificial intelligence is now discussed publicly. It isn't the main tool. Obviously, the war is conducted on the ground, and the real conflict is fought between the infantry trying to hold onto the territory. But artificial intelligence is a tool that helps decision makers, helps soldiers, helps operators to handle data. And there's been an unprecedented amount of data generated in this war through, for example, drone footage via soldiers in the field, through social media with the bystanders. And these gigabytes and terabytes of data are nearly impossible to sift through by regular people. And therefore, artificial intelligence becomes a tool that helps these people to calculate and hone in on very specific images from the thousands and the millions of images and videos that are generated so far.
So to what extent is what's happening in Ukraine an indicator of how wars will be fought in the future, with this technology, of course, evolving very rapidly?
Well, Ukraine is a very specific conflict. Other wars may differ from Ukraine. They may be longer, they may be shorter, they may utilize different technologies, different state and non-state actors may behave different, and also they may have different tactics. But what is not going to change going forward is the fact that a lot of data will be generated. There will be lots of data points from different systems, weapons, and soldiers on the ground. There will be a lot of information that a lot of decision makers, officers, operators will have to make sense of. And this is where artificial intelligence tools, which are now tried out in Ukraine and are possibly also tried out on the Russian side, are coming in as very useful and very handy, essentially making sense of the battlefield, making sense of the combat environment, and selecting very specific targets in a very precise manner.
How far away are we from all of these processes that you're just describing happening on the fly, from real autonomous AI-navigated weapons being deployed on the battlefield?
Well, some of these processes are already happening in Ukraine. Again, there's a lot of public data about Ukrainian military using a lot of artificial intelligence and other data management tools. We're not quite there yet with an actual autonomous systems operating on their own, selecting targets, operating in swarms, but we're inching towards that reality every day. As new systems, new tactics, and new procedures are tried out in Ukraine, both by the Ukrainian and the Russian militaries, and with global actors looking very intensely at what kind of technology, systems, and concepts can actually work. Of course, this net-centric or network battlefield that you just described is a reality that many militaries are driving towards. For years before the invasion of Ukraine, the Russian military, United States, and other major militaries were discussing this networked battlefield with lots of technologies cooperating and working together, basically as a single organism, if you will, as a single system. And so that hasn't changed. There is still a focus on this networked environment where data management, data analysis is going to be the primary focus.
Isn't it, if we're looking at a future where autonomous weapons are doing the killing, what are the ethical concerns here? Is it going to become too easy to kill the opponent?
Well, this is the debate that's happening right now across civil societies in the West and elsewhere, at the United Nations level, in many international organizations that are looking at the ethics of autonomous weapons making their own choices. Of course, we're not there yet. We're still, I think, years away from truly autonomous systems being fielded. But it is also going to depend on a specific actor that is working on that technology. Some countries are simply more willing to utilize such systems and weapons for faster results, and other countries are less so. And of course, a lot of that also depends on the strength of the civil society in those countries that can have a say in whether or not such weapons should be built and fielded. And of course, the approaches across the West, in the United States and in Europe, for example, may differ from approaches towards fully autonomous weapons in countries like China, Russia, Iran, or elsewhere. But again, we're not quite there yet. But the reality that we are discussing right now has been sketched out for years and even decades.